Doc Again is brought to you by Hackensack Brewing Company and their Imperial Pilsner Auga, which was created in honor of the legendary DJs, The Awesome 2. It's also brought to you by Chuck D's Spit Slam Record Label Group. The Spit Slam Record Label Group, a Chuck D situation. Catch us on your favorite streaming platform, on Bandcamp, or visit our official web store at spitslamrecords.com. All releases are available digitally or on CD, with select titles available on vinyl and cassette. The Spit Slam Record Label Group. Throwback to the future sound.
It's C-Doc again.
Party people, it is Tuesday night. Welcome to another episode of It's C-Doc again. Always fixing my shirt, man. Damn. Okay. Let's get situated here. Thanks for joining us for another episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. Good conversation. Looking forward to it. But I don't do it alone. Let me introduce the Fantastic Four. First up is she got her start in classic rap radio at the very first 24-hour all rap station. Our lady from the heyday of K-Day, KDAY, Jennifer O. Jenny.
What's up, what's up, what's up?
What's happening, JOJ?
Not a whole hell of a lot. As I was just saying to somebody, things are thinging.
That's a just Jennifer special. Things are thinging.
That's a throwback, yeah. Exactly. Fear of a Black Film Critic, 1580 KDAY.
What's up, Bashan? How are you, bro? Yeah, word up. It's always good to be thinging, I guess.
Hey, if you're not thinging, what are you doing?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Also joining us tonight, he has one of the dopest accounts on Instagram. If you don't follow him, you're a sucker. Please give it up for Ultramag 7.
What's up, yo? I'm laughing at Don Key. How'd the commissioner's painting go?
Oh.
What was that?
Remember you were painting last week.
Oh, the mixtape. Remember? Yeah.
I was painting, yes.
I
got the one room done.
It was the mixtape. That's right. It was the mixtape. Yes.
Yeah.
I got the one room done. 8 million more to go.
That's a lot of room.
It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of 8 million, our final co-host has been running Hip Hop Gods for 8 million years. He's the president of Rap Station. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Flatline.
Kaboom, kablam, kabingo, kabongo.
Cheers.
What are you drinking on?
Just a little Jameson, you know how we do Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can I give a shout out to somebody I just found today?
Yeah,
Please.
I found Special Herbs beer, and you see the
wow.
Yeah.
And this is by Two Villains Brewery out of New Jersey. So shout out to them.
Wow.
This is very good. 8%.
Yeah.
You see the two V's, it's like Two Villains, Victor Vaughn.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out to Two Villains Brewing.
Word up. That's dope.
Yep.
Yeah.
How did you track them down?
Walked into the liquor store looking for beer and
There it
I'm
was.
looking and I see it says Special Herbs. So I look and I'm like, okay. And then I look at the two guys that you see, they got the Doom mask on.
Right.
And what's funny is they're from Jersey. And so I think I put up something in my story and, whoever was on the other side hit me up. And I asked them, did they know Mike Jones, from Hackensack? Because it's in North Jersey.
Yep.
So that's Mike's, Mike's our brother and all this. So it's a small beer world.
Well, Dave Sy in the house, and he wants to know if they ship to the West Coast. So
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm curious about it.
Hey, Dave. I'll talk to him. I'm going to make I'll make a clip out of this, and
there we go. Dave and Flatline. Send some to Seattle.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll get sponsors for their show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Most def. Well, our guest has been up for like 22 hours. So let's get him on the show. And because I want to hear more about his record label. I know Flatline, Ultramag, you guys have been champions of the stuff that they do. And let's find out more about it. Because as I know, running a record label is so much fun, and you have to be insane to want to do it. So please welcome to the show from Weaponize Records, Guy Harris.
Pew, pew, pew,
Yeah.
pew, pew.
Yo,
There he is.
What's up, brother?
How are you, people? Thank you very
Good,
much.
good.
And you're quite right as well, C-Doc. You have to be absolutely insane.
There's got to be a little bit of craziness involved, right?
A whole lot of craziness. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Guy, thank you for staying up and not sleeping, and we'll get through this, and then you can go to bed.
Head and start sort of just bouncing on springs, then just excuse that and turn off.
No worries. Yes, because it is very late where you are. So
It is, but it's all good, and I'm so appreciative to be here as well. Thank you very much, guys. You know, there's a lot of good friends and love in this chat room, so I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
yeah. Well, let's start, man. How did you get into hip hop?
Fuck. Sorry. That's a very leading and very good question. I think it probably starts with how did I get into music?
Okay, we can go there.
And you know, my mum was a massive jazz and kind of soul fan, so I grew up listening to those kind of vibes. But she was into all sorts of stuff, like the Beatles, the Stones, and maybe not so much the Stones. Definitely more of a Beatles person, But a lot of soul, a lot of funk. I mean, for example, I pulled out a couple of records that my mum sort of passed on to me.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's the kind of stuff I was listening to when I was kind of like 4.
Wow.
And and I grew up around that kind of stuff, like Strange Fruit, which I know has an awful lot of prominence for a lot of people. It was like almost like a theme tune in our song, in our house. Sorry. So that kind of stuff was just the background to me growing up, really. And then you get older and your musical allegiances change and you start listening to different stuff. And I kind of got pulled into a lot of punk. So by 77, I was listening to sounds like Sex Pistols and The Clash, and funnily enough, I guess, there was some kind of harmony or attraction between punk music and hip hop back in the day,
Yeah, sure.
So, but I mean, I didn't know what hip hop was. I didn't grow up in America, and certainly not in such a poor and influential and multicultural area such as the Bronx or whatever, or Queens. But I reckon really when we first heard hip hop was 79, Rappers Delight.
Mm-hmm.
And then things changed significantly for me, really.
Yeah. So, did you play music?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from a very early age, I was buying music. I mean, I'm a massive vinyl head. I love my vinyl. You can't see it; it's all off stage, but I'm surrounded by thousands of records. And I always used to buy records. I mean, that's how we used to get music. And one of the things I want to talk to you about, C-Doc, is how do you find running a record label these days when people want to own nothing and just kind of have it on their phone,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's fun times.
That'll be a great conversation because that's
it's difficult, right? Because I mean, I write a record label, and I want people to own something, and that's why I put so much emphasis into artwork, for example, and present something that's worth owning. Like when we used to buy records back in the day, we would probably, hand around the album cover, right? And we don't do that anymore. People don't do that anymore. And so what's the point of like putting all this effort into an album cover that's going to end up the size of a postage stamp on your fucking phone?
Yeah.
It's a bit sad and worrisome from my perspective, if I'm honest.
Let me ask you, since we're jumping ahead a little bit to that.
We are jumping ahead, and I apologize.
No, that's fine. We're talking, man. It doesn't have to be in order or anything. Have you found that because I know the way that hip hop is treated here in America.
Energy drinks are available.
Okay. Hip hop is, and especially music in general these days with streaming and everything, is treated very disposably. But hip hop has been treated very disposably for a long time here. But I've noticed in other parts of the world, not so much. They treat it with a different respect and reverence. And I don't know, have you seen that at all?
I don't know if I agree with that, if I'm honest with you. I think all music is kind of like fairly irrelevant these days, irrelevant and irreverent. It's, I don't think much lasts for long these days, like.
Well, yeah, I agree with that, definitely.
Like we used to play music and, it would hang around for a while, right? We were really enthused by it and love it. And, now it's almost like, a record stands for like 24 hours or 48 hours and then you're on to the next thing.
Yeah, sure.
Or am I talking crap? I don't know.
No. There's a lot of validity to that because I recently had a conversation with somebody, a younger gentleman, and he's a big Michael Jackson fan. So he was asking me about
Michael Jackson fan. That's some kind of weird anomaly, but okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So that he was listening to. I walked. It was an actor I was working with on this film I just did, and I walked in and to get him up to speed on the scene we were about to shoot, and he was listening to Yacht Rock, and I was like, "Is that Gino Vanelli?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You listen to Gino Vanelli?" I'm like, "Really?" But anyway, he's like, "Yeah, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan," and he was like, he's like, "Do you remember?" I'm like, "Well, Thriller was the biggest thing ever." I'm like, "Let me tell you how big. Let me tell you how big Thriller was. Thriller came out at the end of 1982, and I moved to a different place. I moved to a different state in 1984, and they were still releasing singles from it. It was 2 years later, man. So Thriller was. So that is a perfect example of what you're talking about, the way it used to be. But what I was getting at is that for example, I work with DJ Too Tough and from the Tough Crew, and he is finding some.
Started, please, because Anyway, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna say he just recently did touring, in Europe and stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely. And he was in the UK. Yeah, right. So that is
the best to do it. The Tough Crew. My part of town. Just flipped my lid. And I was into a lot of hip hop. And I was into some very young, very heavy sounds as a young, hip hop enthusiast. Yeah. And then a friend of mine, was like, "You got to hear this." I was like, "Who is it?" And I looked at the album and I was like, "I quite like that. It's kind of sprayed up and shit." And then it came on and I was like, "That is a heavy fucking tune." And it's one of those tunes that is never going to go away for me. It's a hip hop anthem.
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of them for sure, but it's one of the very best.
Yeah. Yep.
One of the very
That's crazy. That's crazy to hear him say that, because where I live, like the Jersey Philly area, like
Exactly.
my part of town is like the anthem. Like that's like the Philly anthem to me. So it's like to hear, you know, someone overseas have that much
Right.
reverence for that song is like it's amazing.
Right.
But you know, we're talking about not just an era of hip hop. We're just talking about a style of music that, and that's what's crazy about hip hop. I reckon is it just infuses so many people and is engaged so many people. You know, like I couldn't be further from you, Ultraman.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I'm not a Jersey guy, right? You know, I was brought up in Kent, you know, 30 miles outside of London, you know. But the music that you love and you started to love is probably the same music that I love and started to love around the same sort of time, you know. It it was delivered to us and imparted upon us at a certain time, which just resonated, struck a chord, and is never going to leave us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That's the beauty of it.
That makes sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking rubbish.
No, it totally is. It totally does.
Gunshots. Pew pew pew.
As Flatline says, pew pew.
Right.
I've got new slaps in actually.
Oh man, he's got the shirts on.
Those
Yeah.
of you.
See, Jennifer's got it.
But thank you again for all of your appreciation and support on the show. I mean, that's massive to me. It really is.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Jenny's got. Who gave Jenny the?
Oh, that was from Mike the Hat.
Oh, that's from. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got one, Jenny.
Yep.
I spoke to
Nice.
Mike a few hours ago, actually, a couple of hours ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah. So
you don't have that, C-Doc. I apologise.
no, that's okay. That's all right.
I do apologise. That's what kicks it all off.
I don't have it either.
No, you don't. I'm aware of that. I was about to.
I can't complete my collection.
You know, stop showing that, because that's going to piss off my brother big time.
Flatline's coming in with the heavy.
Yeah. Man.
The heavy hitters. The heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Because I actually hold that up again, because I actually met George Harrison.
You told him not to hold it up again.
Yeah.
And I got some more recent CD of his, and I was going through some stuff, and my brother was standing right next to me. I said, "Oh yeah, do you want this?" I thought he was going to pass out. Why would you have that? I said, "Well, when I met him." Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm guy. Forgive me, but I'm gonna have Flatline, bootleg that for me. So,
Needs must.
yeah.
If I had a hard copy, I would gladly send you one, but I don't. I'm afraid. I mean, I get
It's
that
all good.
question every other day. Do you own a copy that you can send me of DJ formats? The Beatles songs. Like, they sold out overnight twice over.
Yeah. It was sold out quick.
Yeah, super quick.
Yeah.
Has that been the like fastest selling item on that you put out?
Yeah, well, no doubt. I mean,
No doubt.
I don't mind admitting, my son wasn't very well. He'd just been to some kind of winter camp. Why you do this, I don't know. And he was, kind of like literally head high in mud and stuff, and came back and he was absolutely frazzled. So I took him to bed and, had my phone with me, but I just released, the Beatles songbook. And he just turned to me and said, like, Dad, turn your phone off, because it was just going bipping, bipping, bipping. It was like, and it was just like, you know, within literally an hour, I just sold out, you know, and it was just like,
Wow.
okay, we really underestimated this, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And when you got people in Thailand saying, how do I get this? You know, you suddenly
Amazing.
realise that you're onto something probably
Yeah.
quite special.
Yep. All right. So okay. How did the record company happen? How did you decide to Weaponize Records? How did this all start?
That's a really good question. I mean, you know, we should probably go back a little bit, you know, because you asked me about, you know, what turned me on to hip hop and stuff, and
Yeah.
and I guess that's a good precursor to where I am now. You know, my mum turned me onto really cool music very early on. She had an amazing ear, you know, but she wasn't necessarily a massive soul fan or funk fan. You know, that came with listening to hip hop and trying to work out the stems and everything and work out where that music came from originally.
Yeah.
But before that, it was just really into that sound, and it was so unique and so different. You know, I used to love that punk sound, and we listened to the Clash, and you know, also Two Tone and ska. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
About Two Tone, some of
Sure.
the specials and stuff like that. You know, back in the 70s, you know, that was really super music to us, and it was definitely the sound of the playground. But
I shared
then,
a beer with Joe Strummer.
did you really? Okay, well, that's Jenny. That's quite the accolade. I don't know what to say to that, I'm afraid. But apart from congrats and supreme salutes, yeah. I mean, you know, and I don't know. I guess, you know, then very quickly we started moving to that hip hop sound, and it all came off Rapper's Delight. I mean, that was so different. I mean, what was your favorite, or what's your first memory of hip hop, guys? I mean, tell me that.
Well, Ultra.
Me?
What was
Ultra
yours first?
Oh,
Oh,
it would be Rapper's Delight and King Tim the Third. You know, by the
Personality
Fatback.
Cop.
Those were like the first two things I heard, and I was like, I need more of this.
Yeah.
And then Super Rapping by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and it just kept on coming and coming and coming.
I got that later, but I mean, I appreciate that superseded, you know, a lot of. So, you know, I guess. Sorry, pull it out. I guess that was a big one for me.
Oh, Rapture.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, seeing the video, you know, as like a 10, 11-year-old, that kind of flipped my lid. Really, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was familiar with Debbie Harry, but I hadn't seen people like Lee Keonis get up and stuff like that. And then, obviously, and these are all OG copies. I bought these back in the day.
Wow.
Nice.
And that was awesome. I mean, I remember seeing some friends of mine in the squash courts, like breakdancing to like Scorpio, and it was like, what is that sound? But then again, that is probably one of the most influential songs.
Oh, Malcolm McLaren.
Oh,
And not just because it isn't a great song, really. You know, it's a classic, but it's really about what it says on the back, and it tells you how to make the music.
Yeah.
You know? And that was kind of influential from our perspective, I guess. But there was so much, you know, like Gary Bird, and everyone was releasing a rap record. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, like I remember like Adam and the Ants releasing a rap record. I think that was like 81. You know, Ant Rap. I mean, what the fuck is that about, right? You know?
Jennifer never talked about that one.
And then Wham Rap, You know, and I'll tell you a story, and I'm almost apologetic and embarrassed to tell you. But I mean, someone came up to me, and he was in a psych band and everything. He said, you know, what music are you into? And I was like, I don't know, Wham. And he turned around and went, that's the word. And I wish he'd asked me that 2 weeks later, because I would have turned around and said African Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic. And you know what the fuck I was talking about, right? Yeah. So, you know, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Oh,
yep. So, oh, yeah. So, okay. So, all these rap records, and then what you're engulfing yourself in hip hop, and then how did you want to, or what am I trying to say? How did you start what led you to starting the label? Like saying, okay. Oh, I want to run a record label. You know?
Yeah, well, okay. There's a huge chasm that probably spans about 30 plus years. But right. I mean, but to answer that question, you know, I've always been into music. Came from a musical family, you know. I have been parts of bands in the past. You know, I've done some rapping. You know, not maybe as good as I'd like to be, but it came to the pandemic, and I started making my own beats. Oh. And I got quite friendly with some people that I wasn't already friendly with. You know, and you communicate. You know, you share stuff on Instagram and that kind of thing. And I've been thinking about running or starting a label. But I hadn't really kind of like clarified things in my head yet. And then I got speaking to the Cup Beatles, and they told me that they had a project in the wings. And I asked who it was, and they told me, and it flipped my lid. And then I said, well, I need to bring things forward, and I'm going to release this on my new label, which is Weaponize Records, and that album was Monkey Man.
Yeah.
The Magician.
Yep.
That's the latest one.
I mean, you know how I feel about this album, but you're talking about albums that have like staying power and like aren't here 1 minute and gone the next. Like people were talking about this album like for months. It was a special record. It is a special record.
Yeah.
Thank you, Flatline. I appreciate that, brother, enormously. And yeah, I mean, you know, and George has come out with, you know, his new one, Magician, which is a great album too. I mean, what can you say about Jorge? You know, he's just like he's a dude. You know,
yeah.
Just, super cool MC, all round good bloke. You know, and you know, just spits fire every day of the week, really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. We were talking about that recently, how he just seems to get better and better and better. Like it's really amazing.
He's like at his best now, and we're getting this great music thanks to you and other labels. Like this is you know, he's fully back.
Yeah.
Oh, 100. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, there's no question about that. You know, I would say that I don't think, you know, Jorge ever went away really, but it's not for me to talk about his history and how things sort of manifested and stuff. That's down to him, so I'm not going to get involved with that. But I mean, I think it's no surprise to anyone to hear that, you know, he didn't have the best deal, things didn't work out for him. Anyway, here we are, and it's just nice to know that all of that negative stuff, if you can present it as negative, didn't hold him back, didn't stop him from doing that.
Yeah,
and
kept on going, kept on pushing.
If anybody wants more information on that, you can go back and watch the episode where we talk to Curious right here on It's CDOC.
Right.
Nice little segue promo there. Okay, how did you meet the Cup Beatles?
Well, again, online, really, you know, and
okay.
So my contacts with the Cup Beatles, that led me to, you know, signing the Cup Beatles, Curious, and doing the whole Monkey Man album. And that was kind of crazy because, you know, originally what I had done, I'd listened to the album. They had secretly passed it on to me under the proviso, of course, that I wouldn't share it with anyone, and
Right.
it was out of genuine interest, and so I need to make that very clear, which I did, and I was like, you know, this is just incredible. This is a really seriously good album, and it has to be heard.
Yeah.
So I asked them the question, like, who's going to put this out? They're going, well, that's the problem, you know, no one's going to put it out, you know.
Wow.
And at that point, I turned around and said, well, look, I know some label owners. Can I present this to them on your behalf? And I said, absolutely, you know, do so, which I did. And one of them was my cousin, for example, who started Skint Records in the UK, which is like Fatboy Slim and all of that, and sold,
Oh, wow.
God knows how many millions of records, I guess. But he's no longer part of Skint. But, you know, he started his own label, and he said, like, I really like it, I love it, but it just doesn't fit with what I'm doing. And I passed it on to other UK label owners who have like quite high production status as well. And they said much the same thing. And I just thought, well, this is bonkers, you know, like, am I coming at this from left field or something? Am I going crazy? Because I think this is one of the best things I've ever heard. And we weren't really getting anywhere with it. So that's when I turned around to the Cup Beatles and said, you know, would you mind if I presented you with an opportunity? And I put an offer to them. And then the next thing we know is that we've all agreed, signed a contract, and we're putting it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how things happen.
Yeah.
Well, things happen. Sometimes you're just gonna grab the proverbial bull by the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about, because you just very graciously hooked me up with, you know, a lot of the mixtape series.
You got the mother load.
I did, yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I want to tell you how gracious Guy is. He kept apologizing to me that he didn't send them to me sooner. I'm like, bro, thank you. It's all good. Thank you for hooking my guys up. Really, it was like you hooked the team up. It's like, you know, I'm cool. It's great. So,
I was remiss of me, and I apologize, CJ.
no, again, no need.
I do.
How did this series? Because it's really, I love the idea. Don't be surprised if I steal it for Spit Slam. I'm apologizing in advance.
I did wonder about that.
Yeah, so it is a great idea.
No. Well, that's the best form of flattery, right? Stealing me.
Exactly. You know, why make some new shit up when you can steal from
Do
the
you have
best?
your address now, though?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah. How did this series start? Because I love the idea. It's fantastic.
Well, I guess, I mean, it's not so much how it started, it's why it started.
Okay.
So I think DJs are underrated these days.
Yes.
And I don't think they get the love and respect they deserve. You know, I've grown up fortunately, with some of the best DJs in the world supplying me with music that I love, and I will continue to play until the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as simple as that, you know. And but you know, one of that sounds ridiculous. One of the upcoming DJs who's going to be producing something for the Weaponized mixtape series, you know, said, you know, someone turned around to them and said, you know, well, no one wants to hear scratching anymore, you know. And I know Jenny isn't necessarily a massive fan of scratching. It's time. Sorry, Jenny. Sorry. I threw myself there. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of an odd one, really. But these guys just kind of, you know, they've been collecting tunes for years, and selecting the right tunes to mix for years,
Yeah.
and doing something extraordinary and individual. And, quite often, that is forgotten, to the point now where people turn around and say, well, we don't want to hear scratching, you don't even need to mix a tune, just stick one in after another. And it's like, all that is lost. It's a craft, it's an art, and it's like, you really want to see that, just go. Some people probably don't give a shit. I happen to.
Yeah. Well,
that's why I support it. And and Weaponize Records, we all we do is put out music. We don't create the music. Other people do that. We just put it out, and that's the easy part. The difficult part is creating the music and making people dance, or
Well, I don't know who said that. They don't want to hear it because you had people in Thailand, definitely to the contrary, like trying to get a hold of stuff.
Well, and don't get it twisted.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Don't
wait.
get it
May
twisted.
I preface this by also saying that check out last week's episode of It's C-Doc again if you want to know what we're talking about. So.
Right, okay. Well, I did see some of that because, of course, I'm a fan. But I mean, okay, I didn't see
Go
the Thailand.
ahead, Jennifer.
Don't even get it twisted. A really good DJ, Joe Cooley, one of my old friends. It's when they get into the "it's time" crap that I'm like, okay,
Yeah, we got that.
next. But really good scratching, all of that, I'm all for it. All for it.
So then I should probably send you this one.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's my favorite of the bunch. If
Is
I
it?
had to pick a favorite, that's it. That's the one. This is it.
That's the one.
This is it.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
oh.
It's really
it's
amazing
kind
what
of
you
being like a wayward dad. I can't have favorites.
did. Right,
You
right.
Or at least I can't publicly announce
Right.
all my favorites.
Money shots.
Yeah, I listened to this one tonight. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great too.
Those are my two favorites.
But what I really like about the tape series, and I'm not here to self-publicize, but
oh,
what
you're
I really
totally here to self-publicize.
Yeah, please do.
right, I am. But what I like about the whole series is, and what I like about the idea behind the series is that it highlights that every DJ comes at it from a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
You're never going to have two DJs who are the same,
Right.
and it's not just about the idea, like format, okay, that's the Beatles, right? That sets that one aside, Mike the Hat, that's just like, fairly, that's what, it's just heavy New Jersey shit into, at the end, UK hip hop, and it's just like straight mixing, that is completely different, that's just bonkers. And then that is just like some kind of sample fest to the maddest order, and that is just like one massive groove fest, so
Yeah.
I mean, everyone comes at it from a different angle, and it's all beautiful and marvelous, and it just highlights for me the just the ability of DJs to really make us feel better about ourselves. And God, that sounds really wanky, but I mean, it's just just making us feel really good about the music that we've been listening to for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's perspective and presentation. They're presenting the music in a way that you might not think about it. Like this, like I said, I listened to this tonight. I put this on while I was making dinner. And it was just like it was great because like I'm hearing versions of songs that I didn't know existed, and that's the beauty of it, man. It's just like totally introduced me to all these cover versions of songs that I know, You know, I know the originals, but I never heard these other versions. And then presenting that in a hip hop context, come on, man, it's so dope.
See, Doc, do you know how many times I'll hit up Guy like, God, can you please send me this stuff so I can make like a video? Because it hits me with so many ideas. I'm like, God, I gotta make a video out of this and this and this, you know. So
yeah,
the inspiration, you know, comes from the music. It's great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the series.
Yeah, I hugely appreciate it. You know, I appreciate what you do, Ultramag, and you know, presenting, you know, the artists. I mean, you know, let's not forget that, you know, Weaponize Records hasn't been around for very long. It's like 17 months. So in which time I think we've released about 12 releases. But I can't thank you enough for doing what you do. And Flatline, you know, you've just been a supporter since day one. And I guess, you know, that helps to encourage me to continue to bring out the best music, you know, that comes to me. Which brings me on to, one second.
Did we lose Flat Lizzo?
His power went out. He'll be back in a moment. Yep. Oh, the new one.
Jaguar Skills.
Jaguar Skills. And this went out to you, C-Doc, to you, Ultramag, and to you, Flatline, today.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Send Jennifer one.
Say that again, brother.
Send Jennifer one.
I will have to send Jennifer.
Nobody sends Jennifer anything.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
Time from the score, and then so I just need to re-record it and send it to you. No, but so that's the new one. So that's the next one, and then we're on into 2025, and it starts to get a bit crazy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything you want to preview, or still on the wraps? It's entirely up to you.
I can preview some stuff. So I've got some albums coming out. Ultramag has very kindly got behind Jack Dex, and that is a UK centric album, but a very, very, very dope project. With some heavy UK hitters, and also people from America, also people from Australia. So it's like an international hip hop record, which doesn't really do it justice, but it hits hard. It's very special, and I'm very proud of it, and I can't wait to release it. The only reason it hasn't gone up yet because I wasn't happy with the test presses, so I pulled them back, and I just wanted the very best sound. So I've changed things up to make sure that everyone gets the best presentation of that. And then March the 1st is the Weaponize Mixtape Volume 8, which is by a guy called Sam Tweaks. And it comes with a Welsh theme, which sounds a bit crazy, but it's things like Shirley Bassey going into Public Enemy. I mean, it's...
Okay.
Honestly, it's gonna freak you out. It's gonna rock you out.
Wow.
Honestly, it will flip your lids. And I mean, it starts off with like Under Milk Wood, and then the beat, and it's Premiere, and I mean, honestly, it's just crazy. I wear a golden crown. It's one of my favorites. I need
to make videos. I need to make videos there, guy.
I promise you. And then the mixtape number 9 is Andy Smith from Portishead.
Wow.
Connection.
Yeah.
And he's doing a 1980s mix, LP mix. So all the bangers from LPs that didn't make 12s, and
wow,
super dope. And Andy's been doing it like since '79. So I mean, like he's in terms of capabilities there with like Flash and all those guys, as far as I'm concerned. And then I've got some albums. I mentioned Jack Dex. I've got Dangerous Creatures coming out, which is by someone called Mimpsky Beats, who's out of Berlin, Germany.
Yeah.
She's a really amazing beat mistress. And King Kashmir, who's been around for like 20 years or so in the UK scene. And they've partnered up and become Dangerous Creatures. But they're coming from it almost from like a guerrilla's philosophy. So they're a collective, and anyone can join that collective. And one of the people that we have rapping on a track called Necron is Big Juss.
Oh, wow. Dope.
And it's mad.
That's
And then I've got someone out of your neighborhood, Ultramag, Cy Martial Law.
Oh, okay.
Do you know Cy Martial Law?
I've heard of the name. I don't know too much of the music, but
he's doing something that's produced by Ramps and Bad Bones out of the UK, and that's going to be dropping around about June, July, I would say. So look, there's a lot of good stuff coming out of the camp.
That's
you
great.
set up for the whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some more stuff for you. Don't worry about that. I promise you, there's some more stuff. I've got some DJs that I can't really talk about, but because I'm quite superstitious too. But if they drop, it's the game changes.
Wow.
Okay.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Love to hear it. I love to hear it.
Yes.
Yep. That's super dope.
Thank you.
How did the CDs work for you? Like pressing CDs. How did I mean, I know you sold out of DJ format, but how are the other ones doing? I'm just curious.
What the selling to funk format, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, of course. That's what we do. That's what we do.
How does it work for you? So I was going to ask.
Okay. Well, here's the difference. You are like, I do mine on demand because that's the only way I can manage to do these. But you're doing like the real deal, so
Well, the thing about the CDs, I've never made any bones about this. I really hate DSPs and streaming sites.
Yeah.
That doesn't pay anyone anything. Not the artist, not the label. We can talk about how many streams a successful album could have and how much it pays us, but quite frankly, if you've got 10 million streams on an album, it's going to pay you about $30,000.
Yep.
Back in the day, if you sold 1 million copies of Thriller, you'd be printing money, right? So, that's the reality of the situation these days.
Yep.
So I'm not a massive fan of streaming, but all that aside, I can't physically stream. Well, I could stream the albums, but I can't release the albums on anything other than cassette or CD because as soon as you put them on, they play as a continuous mixtape.
Right.
So if it runs for 60 minutes, it runs for 60 minutes. The only difference being maybe you put on a tape and you get the first 30, then you flip it over and get the second 30.
Yeah.
And that's the experience. That's what I want you to experience. If I was to put that on vinyl, then you would play the 15 minutes, turn it over, side B, 15 minutes, side C. And that doesn't work, right? That's just so uninteresting and uninspiring and just impossible as a listening experience. So that's why I put things out on CD. If I could put everything out on vinyl, then I would do. But the CDs specifically are, they're pretty much illegal.
Yeah.
I get
it. And they're illegal. So what are you going to do? Someone's going to come after me someday and go, take my money. But there you go. I probably shouldn't have said But you know,
it's not on Spotify, so don't worry. I think you'll be
no.
all
That's
right.
why I don't do it, because they'll probably hunt me down. Someone would hunt me down.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to give Daniel Elk any more than my money,
No.
or my 0.0005 cents. You know.
Which, by the way, I got to remember to tell you guys, because I forgot to tell you last week. I have a great idea for a forthcoming release. But anyway, yeah, that's for later. Anyway, we'll talk. Did you ever think Cassettes would make a comeback? Because I sure as hell did not.
I don't know. It's a really weird one, that, because no is the flat, straight answer to it. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Thank you, C-Doc. But they clearly have, you know, and I've had people like ask me, so do these people actually listen to them, or do they just put them on their, buy their records? And but people genuinely unwrap them and listen to them.
Yeah,
I know Ultramag's a massive tape fan, and it hasn't necessarily gone away for some people. And that seems to be the case for most of the people that buy it. You know, I can't say that most of the people who buy the tapes end up putting them on their top shelf and never unwrapping them. Most people seem to play them because they send me reels showing that they do. You know, so it's kind of incredible. No, I didn't, but I'm so pleased that they are. You know.
Yeah. Did you collect tapes back in the day?
Oh, of course. I threw all my tapes out there in like 1996. I had a massive box.
Oh, wow.
Even tapes that I had sent to like record stations with my little like tape loops and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
And my own music, which we won't talk about.
We can.
No, we're not going to talk about. But then that was all good, and but I just thought, well, 1996, who's ever going to play these again? I'm not. And then the only problem now is that you can buy tapes, but you can't necessarily buy something to play it on. So that's the difference.
Right. Although I was doing a little bit of research the other day, because one of the friends of the show, who was here, I don't know if he's still around, Knackworth, hit me up and was looking for a boom box, and so he and I were both doing, and I guess there are manufacturers that are making new boom boxes.
Yeah. No, I take you back to whatever the Malcolm McLaren 12. It was talking about two terms. The boombox, actually told you back in 1982 how to make music, and that's one of the reasons why we loved that particular track so much. It wasn't because we knew who Malcolm McLaren was with his connection to the punk era and Sex Pistols specifically,
right?
But because it actually told you how you could potentially make hip hop,
right?
And a lot of people knew before they read the back of Buffalo Flowers, for people's sakes. But I love that openness about hip hop, and it really opened up and allowed expressiveness that I don't think, aside from punk music, any other music had ever allowed or afforded anyone else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's why they're so intrinsically linked, because because of they were street music from different
and that
different streets.
Well, wasn't it crazy?
Sides of the street, right?
Yeah. Speaking of punk, I think Guy, you and I share a record that we like. I heard that you liked you may still have the Dickies with the Banana Split Zone.
Yes. Yeah. A 1978, 79 yellow 12-inch. I don't. Sorry, 7-inch. I don't have it anymore. But that was one. I think that was the first record I ever bought.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the record. So I had a friend, rest in dead, my buddy Skip. we were into hip hop when we were younger, and then he went and he got into like hardcore and punk, but we were still friends and we would trade music. And when he got me into like hardcore and punk, he gave me like a mixtape, and it had that song with the Dickies on it. I always remember, you know.
There we go.
You've been scouring me on the internet then, Ultra Man.
I got to do my due diligence.
Find out that fact. You've been going deep, brother.
There you go.
Yeah.
That is, oh, geez. Okay, there you are. The Dickies. Yellow vinyl. Oh, yeah, there you are. Yeah,
Yep.
that's it. That's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Been buying vinyl for too long. I'm a bit worried. A bit worried about my studio. Actually, I think the foundations are about to crack. There's so much vinyl.
Oh, geez, that's not good.
No, well, you know, it happens live. You know what's going on, right?
Right. Right. Well,
It's not 911. It's 999 in the United Kingdom. So you know,
okay. So we know what. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, if you don't mind me asking you, Guy, you used to live in Spain, right?
I did.
Whereabout did you live in Spain?
I lived near the Sierra Nevada mountain range in the southeastern region of Spain, near Granada.
Okay, I used to I used to take, well, as you would say, vacation holiday every year until the pandemic in Valencia, Alicante. There,
Okay.
I have a friend that
Alicante, about about an hour and a half up the road. Yeah, so I know
Okay.
Alicante, Murcia, Valencia. Yeah.
Yep. I have a friend. She actually lives in Benissa, but I used to prior to the pandemic, that was my vacation spot every year. So
Nice.
beautiful. Yeah.
Ultramag's a world travel guy.
I know. I didn't realise that you'd met Blade until I watched the interview. So how did that come?
Well, I used to rap, right? Or
Of course, yeah. But you met him in Belgium, right?
no, we met in France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was Princess Superstar. We were doing a show in France. I think it was Science Super Crew. They were on the bill, and Roots Maneuver, all these different, groups. And and I saw him outside the venue. We just struck up this conversation. And I found out who Blade was, but then it took 20 years later. Now, we're back in contact.
He's a dude, isn't he? I really enjoyed that interview. Blade's got so much energy, and and he's done so much as well for the UK audience.
Right.
UK scene is quite extraordinary. I mean, I liked all of your interviews, I have to say, but it's so special as a UK dude, I guess, suddenly seeing like someone like Blade being interviewed on your show.
That was cool. That was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty sublime, Blade. He's really, he comes at it from the right direction,
Yeah.
Always has, and having spoken to him, his heart's in the right place, and he's really trying to get behind the music and doing the most for the local scene.
Yeah.
He just recently, it'll be out at some point, he did an interview with it's CDOC alum and on the label Sugar Bear. So
oh right, okay.
Yeah, he did one with shout out to Sugar Bear. I don't know if he's still in here, but he's got a dope interview coming.
Married recently, right? Did Sugar Bear get married recently?
Oh no, that was DJ Soulbuck.
Oh, sorry,
Soulbuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Sugar
Shout
Bear.
out to Soulbuck.
Yeah, shout out to Soulbuck. But Sugar Bear finally released his the demos for his album that he recorded back in 1988. So
okay, my bad.
that's what's Yeah.
We just found another mix too, C-Doc. Another club house mix.
Oh yeah, he sent it to me. Yeah. He's like, who do I sue? I'm like,
Yeah.
it ain't worth it, bro.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about it. Yeah, he said it to me. That was funny.
Be flattered.
Yeah, be right, exactly. Yeah.
Be flattered.
Use it for promo or something, you know.
Exactly. I'm making a video now.
There you go. See? There you go. Guy, as we wrap this up, where do you see the label in the next 5 years? What are your hopes and aspirations for it?
That's a good question. I'd like to think that I just continue supporting hip hop, no matter who it is or where it comes from. I'm thinking about setting up Weaponize Records, United States of America, so
wow.
WUSA, and that's largely down to the depth of talent in the United States and also distribution, if I'm honest with you. So that's something that I'm looking at. And as I say, just continuing supporting hip hop really and putting out really good flavors, something that people can get into and be enthused by. So providing people just keep, liking it and buying it, then I'm going to keep putting it out. And that's all I can hope for at this early stage, I guess.
Yeah. Right. That's great.
And I have a question for you.
Yes, Jenny.
Favorite group involved with Malcolm McLaren?
Sorry, did you say Malcolm McLaren?
Mm-hmm. Favorite group that was at all involved with Malcolm McLaren?
Time Zone.
Okay. I'm shocked.
World Destruction.
I'm shocked.
Why?
I was expecting you to say, "Oh, I don't know." Now, favorite group. I was expecting you to say, "Thank you."
No, not really. I mean, Malcolm McLaren was a weird one, really. I say I don't think he was particularly involved with Time Zone and World Destruction, but Malcolm McLaren, he was a weird dude. I mean, he was really good at putting his finger on the pulse, I think, and utilizing that sort of knowledge on how things work and how things move and shift. He did it with the Sex Pistols, obviously, and made himself an awful lot of money and helped to make people like Vivienne Westwood an awful lot of money too. But I mean, does it really stand? Do I like the Sex Pistols? I mean, going back to early punk music, the Clash were incredible. I don't think necessarily the Sex Pistols were the epitome of punk music. I mean, I would say like the Ramones were,
yeah,
or right,
or certainly the Clash, So, right. But it's a valid question. I don't really know the answer to it, if I'm honest with you. So I'm going to take the pick.
I'm right there with you. But see, what I don't think any of you guys would know. Guy would certainly know, but Malcolm McLaren, Bow Wow Wow.
Bow Wow Wow, yeah. Snakes in the Grass.
Adam and the Ants.
And the Ants, absolutely.
Sex Pistols.
Of course.
Sure. Who else can we come up with?
Well, Supreme Team to a certain extent,
Yeah.
Buffalo, all that whole project, So
yep.
Malcolm McLaren, and he had his own shop.
Yeah,
wasn't he involved with Susie and the Banshees? Wasn't?
No, he wasn't involved with Susie and the Banshees that I'm aware of. But I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't believe he was. No. But I mean, he was one of those guys that I just felt kind of like, was very good at taking not just music but a scene and then just engendering it and turning it into something that was more than it was originally. Do you know what I'm saying?
He had his own shop and he had all of he had all of these people, Boy George probably included, that was all very much, he would kind of play Russian roulette with some of the people. Adam Ant wasn't Adam and the Ants until he was part of Bow Wow Wow first, right? Yeah.
Okay.
He was part of Bow Wow Wow first. And then
no,
Malcolm.
Bow Wow Wow came after.
Bow Wow Wow was definitely a Malcolm McLaren band. I'm not
Yeah.
sure Adam and the Ants were, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. Adam was in Bow Wow Wow first. And then Malcolm said, nah, he's better by himself.
Okay.
And that's when he became Adam and the Ants.
Yeah. There's more Adam and the Ants songs that I like than there are Bow Wow Wow songs, that's for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. But Malcolm McLaren was, he had his hands in everything.
Very interesting dude, yeah.
So hold on. So coming from the U.S. side, Guy, for you, when you heard Malcolm McLaren and the world famous Supreme Team, like how did you feel being that Malcolm was a UK guy and really getting it in with hip hop?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because what I have to say is that that wasn't my first foray into hip hop. The song that really did it for me and pulled me in 100 fathoms deep was Planet Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that, and there was no going back. There was absolutely no going back.
But I'm just saying, as far as being somebody who was entrenched in the UK, having like a representative,
Yeah, no, I mean that was looking back on it, I think it's kind of cool in some respects. I mean, I feel kind of mixed and varied about it, if I'm honest with you, Ultramag, because at the time I didn't really give it an awful lot of thought or consideration. I just quite liked the song. And we quite liked the fact that the way it was presented, and it kind of almost presented hip hop to a mass generation. And in some respects, it was people's foray into hip hop. I was into it earlier. Most of my friends were into it earlier. But looking at it now, I'm almost embarrassed by it, because it feels like, it's like, culturally trying to take it over in some respects. And that I don't feel comfortable about that.
Really?
No, I don't really.
No,
I think it's a good song because it's become an anthem. If I could choose Buffalo Girls against Rapture, I'd go Rapture.
See, the interesting thing about those records with that EP with Malcolm McLaren and the world famous Supreme Team is people don't realize it came out in 82.
It did.
And production team, as far as they had like Trevor Horn. So the beats were very hard, and it kind of was the precursor to me to Run DMC and what they did with the drum machines. Because if you listen to those songs, it sounds way different than what Grandmaster Flash and Treacherous 3 were doing. It totally sounds like it stepped it into a new thing. And then it's like, okay, Run DMC comes. But that's how I look at it, because we had the world famous Supreme Team here, so they were already entrenched, and then they got with Malcolm. And I understand it was like a, looking back, maybe an opportunist thing, but I felt like it was represented to me. Like we loved it. Like it was awesome.
Buffalo Girls, not so much. The flip side, certainly.
Right. I love it all. Do you like scratching?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that definitely for me, you know. So yeah, I accept where you're coming from, and it's a very interesting take actually.
Yeah.
It's good to hear you say that as well, because it kind of means that someone like Malcolm McLaren, whether he kind of like jumped on that bandwagon or not, you know, actually, you know, put his fingerprint on it, you know.
Oh, that's how I always felt. Like I used to see that record and I'd see that radio with the bullhorns. I always wanted that radio. Like I was like, yo, how do we make this radio? Like there's so many iconic things, you know, from the hat that Malcolm's wearing, the fact that like, you know, C Divine and Just Allah, they're like 5%ers. Like it's so much that's going on, and it's crazy to me. Like when you think about it,
things like Grave Diggers, and you know, and so many tunes, you know, I mean, I mean, you know, it is an anthem. You can't, you know, and that makes me feel slightly proud, I guess. You know, it's just I wish it was someone else other than Malcolm McLaren to a certain extent, because or ripping a lot of people off. There you go.
Flatline, any questions?
Yeah, I actually do have a question.
All right.
Well, to take it back, when you were, you know, getting into hip hop, like in the '80s, were there any memorable live shows that you went to, like a Public Enemy or Run DMC in the UK, where I still think to this day hip hop is appreciated more over there in terms of the live show setting?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a super question. I mean, you know, I was around in the early days and saw LL Cool J the first time he came over. Beastie Boys at that point were doing a couple of tunes to support him, but they were jumping on speakers and then jumping off stacks and you know, going crazy. I mean, one of the best and frustrating gigs I saw was the first Beastie Boys concert, which would have been, what, 86, 87?
Yeah, probably 86.
And I'd already seen Run DMC, and Run DMC are some of my heroes, right? So, and I've been down with them ever since Sucker MCs, and then Run DMC turned up, and it was a predominantly white crowd, and I wasn't necessarily used to that. I was used to sort of like going into inner London and seeing like people like Run DMC in a predominantly black crowd, and then it was all these kind of nouveau punks, you know, rocking out to, you know, to the Beastie Boys. And I remember Run DMC were doing their first, you know, opening for the Beastie Boys, which is kind of crazy, right?
Wow.
It felt crazy to us, you know, us hip hop heads at the time. But you know, Beastie Boys had the crowd, they had the noise, you know, they were making the money for Def Jam. But I remember some sort of like nouveau punk throwing this Coke can at the stage, and Rum was just walking along and just literally went and caught this Coke can from behind his back.
Oh,
he's like, fucking hell, you know. It was just like this most amazing thing we've ever seen. You know, and then I wasn't at the '87 Public Enemy gig. You know, you consider yourselves warm.
Yeah.
I was at the Brixton one, which was probably a bit darker, and that was an amazing concert. And I've rarely missed Public Enemy since that day.
Yeah.
There was an American indie group called That Petrol Emotion. I don't know if you remember them, but the lead singer, I remember him going in at the very front of the stage at the 1989 Public Enemy Brixton gig, and just being regurgitated. You know, all these dudes just kind of scooped him up and threw him out again. You know. Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of very serious concerts early on. African Barbata, Houdini, you know, and we didn't really talk about new concerts. You know, I don't want to badmouth anyone, but you know, there's a lot of new people. There's a lot of people out there putting on, like, you know, recent concerts that just, you know, aren't living up to the mark. You know, they're charging kind of like what would be 60, 70 bucks to go and see, and you know, they're not necessarily delivering a particularly good performance or even turning up on time. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I think it's funny. I think hip hop's in a funny stage, you know. I don't particularly like new hip hop, you know, and I appreciate that old hip hop can't hang around forever. But these guys are, you know, still making their money and doing what they can to make their money. But they have the ability, they have the skills to turn up and just deliver it. You know?
Yeah.
And some of these dudes aren't doing that.
Yep. Big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's a big difference. All right. Well, Guy, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Well, I hope I haven't bored your audience too much. And
Oh,
thank
no,
you
man. We got there's like almost 20 people tuned in. This is great. So,
awesome.
yeah.
There you go.
We did well. We did well tonight. So, yeah. Tell everybody where they can, follow you and get weaponized merch and stuff.
Go left at the moon and head towards Saturn, and you'll find Weaponize Records.
There you go. There you go. So, all right. Well, yeah.
Peace, guys. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Loads of love.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Peace
Thanks.
out.
All right. Peace. All right. There you go. Hey, man. I love to see him doing it. I love the care and respect that they put into the releases, and yeah, super dope.
Just super dope.
Yep.
Super dope. I mean, why wouldn't you want to support him? Guy is like the nicest.
And
look
yeah,
Got all of them.
how dope they look all together. Look at
Right.
that shit. So dope.
That's great. Love stuff like that.
Yeah. So,
Love stuff like that. Good
oh, yeah.
deal.
Did we talk about Rival Self? I forgot. This is dope. Did Guy send you this?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I haven't checked it out yet.
That's
Great.
Yeah, that was great just for like the Halloween theme. Like I love the themes of these. Like every time guys send you, it's like, you don't know what you're getting, and then you listen to it and you're like, oh, this is just so good. And it's that's why I always say to Guy, I'm like, yo, can you send me like the MP3 so I can make like a video out of this? Like,
Right.
I can't. And he's like, all right, man, this one time, but don't share it. I'm like, come on, Guy, I ain't gonna do that.
Right.
I just want to make videos of the stuff. It's so dope.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Flatline new show.
No new show. Show returns next week. If we have a minute, can we just say a quick RIP to this man right
Yes.
here?
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
dude,
And
dude.
he's a one of a kind. And
Yeah.
man, I was just listening to his stuff all afternoon, stuff that I hadn't listened to in a while, and it just like, what a loss. What a loss.
Yep.
Bro, just yesterday was the 30th anniversary of the Hyro and Hobo Junction
Yes.
the battle. And what's
The battle.
funny, my brother used to live in LA, and that's when like I think the Wake Up Show used to be also broadcast on the beat. And so he called me up. He was like, yo, Hyro just battled Hobo Junction. And he's like, I recorded it. I'm going to send it to you. So this is prior to the internet.
Yeah, we
So
got it.
he sends this to me, and I'm walking around with it. And then like a month or so later, they talk about it in the source. And I'm telling her, I've been had this tape. Like, yo, behind. like, they had to wait till the internet came out unless you weren't in the area. But
Yeah.
oh, that one hits hard, man. Sophia, that was my guy.
Yep. Shout out
Yeah.
to his friends and family
Yeah.
and fans, because that's a loss, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
Sorry.
no, that's it. I mean,
But,
no, yeah, it's right. It had to be said.
Yeah.
Had to be said.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap it up, I guess. Yeah.
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 Join Flatline, Mr. Chuck D, and myself every Friday for And You Don't Stop radio show. 2 hours of hip hop power.
Mm-hmm.
And Flatline has the Hip Hop Gods. I run the Spit Slam Jam of the Week, where we play music released by the Spit Slam Records label group. And I don't know if I forgot to check with Dave and Mocha if they'll be back for a new episode tomorrow. I don't think, because I think Mocha's
on tour.
Yeah. Okay. So not sure when Body Hat Weekly will be back, but
December, didn't you say?
Did I?
Ultra?
Yeah, I think he said at the end of the last show that they did, I think they said something about being back in December.
Okay. So there you go. But they got plenty of, there's a handful of episodes there for you guys to catch up if you haven't. And where they talk about some fantastic albums. And then join Jennifer and Ultra Mag and our man in Amsterdam, DJ Soulbuck, on Sunday, right here on Channel 0, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the mixtape, where Soulbuck will be spinning the hits of our next week's guest. And next week, you guys want to announce it, shall I?
Oh, shit. Yeah. Is it confirmed? It's confirmed, right?
Yeah.
It's confirmed.
Yep. Next week, we'll be talking to DJ Daddy Rich of Third Base fame right here on It's C-Doc again. So check out
Whose
the mixtape.
car is that?
Rock that shit, homie.
Daddy Rich, you never watch him on TV?
What's your name? Daddy Rich. Yep. So,
man.
Looking forward to that one, especially with the recent announcement, the Third Base reunion.
Yep.
And so can't wait to talk to him. So we'll be back next week, another episode. And I want to thank everybody watching live, everybody watching on the replay, my co-hosts, the Fantastic Four. We'll be back next week. And please like and subscribe and download the Bring the Noise app while you're at it. And thank you. And we'll see you next week for another episode of It's C-Doc again.